about three emasculated men. And the definition for emasculate is, number one, deprive a man of his male role or identity. Please don't take this as, condescending or anything, but I just want to emphasize the meaning of the word emasculated, or to emasculate, which in my opinion is what the Watchtower Society has done to the male population of their congregation, or a good number of them. And this is by observation for myself of the men around my wife's congregation and family, especially family. And this one example or story, a true story, will sort of indicate what I'm talking about. Now, a few videos ago, I mentioned a family meltdown of sorts in my family. And it's concerning this one family member that did the research and found out that, the usual things that somebody looking for the truth will find out about the Watchtower organization. The whole gamut. I mean, basically, she has seen all of Lloyd Evans' videos on YouTube. And that set the tone of, her doing further research, and to say the least, she is out of the religion and will never go back, as far as she has told me. And I'm sort of kind of like going a little bit, deeper into my family members, particularly in my in-laws, and to my sister-in-law. If you're listening to this story and if you want me to stop, I will do so. But this story basically is more in tune of the background of these three men, other than your story. So jot down a line to me to tell me to stop if you feel uncomfortable or whatever, and I'll stop. And there's no shortage of stories, so I could move on to another subject. So it's my sister-in-law that has woken up or did the research and got out of the organization. She faded. She was doing a straight fade to the point where she's practically fading away from the family as well, or started to, from the stories that her husband has told me. But he convinced her to sort of make an effort to reestablish ties with the family. At first it was just a slow distancing from the family in a way, or the religion for sure. And that's as far as I know. I've spoken to my sister-in-law about this whole situation once or twice, but I don't ask too many questions. Just the points that I was genuinely curious about, and hoping for the best for her and everything. But this is such a traumatic sort of situation to be in. Is I don't want to open up those wounds again, and those whatever feelings that may occur from them and stuff. So I don't pry or anything, and she's handling it. She's a strong woman, and just know that you have my full support, but I don't want to kind of stick my nose in anybody's business, even though I'm related in a way. But during her fade, we're all on social media, Facebook or whatever, and basically, surprisingly, two of the uncles, at least one of the uncles, I'm a Facebook friend of. I'm a Facebook friend. The other one I was, but it was kind of related to his business, and my personal Facebook is not, it's not the most wholesome post that I put on there. So I voluntarily unfriended him so I wouldn't affect his business in a way. But anyway, he was a Facebook friend as well, and the father-in-law, he has a Facebook account, but I never friended him or him to me, so I really don't care. What happened was they all had speculation of my, or at least the father-in-law, her dad had an inkling maybe that she was fading or something wasn't right. She wasn't going to meetings. She lives in a whole new other city anyway, so he couldn't really keep tabs on her, except for maybe sending a couple of elders to her residence to spy on her or to, convince her to come back to the Kingdom Hall and start that process again or whatever. But that was some time ago. Like I said, she and her husband came out to live with us for a little bit, and that's when the wheels started to unhinge from the cart there. Little by little, it just started getting sort of worse. They moved back to their old city, so that they're not here anymore, and they moved back. My sister-in-law started to sort of, unveil her butterfly wings to say, to make a comparison. She started to be a little bit more vocal, and on social media. So basically, she started posting some anti-Jehovah Witness stuff on Facebook. I wouldn't say anti, but more like, documentaries here, newspaper clipping there, and giving her opinion about a movie that came out. I think it was Apostasy, and she wrote it down, or she posted it on Facebook, and said and it was basically saying I could attest that the points of this film is true, and things to that nature there. So that was our first, and I think only, sort of coming out against Jehovah Witness, or I wouldn't say going against, but showing awareness of the hypocrisy of the whole thing, of the Jehovah Witness religion or whatever. And it was just one simple, respectful quote or statement. It wasn't anger or anything like that. It was just an opinion about a film. And that is when things hit the fan. So like I said before, these three men at one point were Facebook friends with me, except the dad or my father-in-law. But immediately, the first one to kind of unfriend his own daughter from Facebook was my father-in-law, her dad. Instant unfriending of her. Then I could see the numbers of her friends sort of dwindle from her friends count on Facebook. Shortly after, the uncle that was by marriage, he unfriended her, and then the blood-related uncle unfriended her. So all three of these men unfriended her without even asking or talking to her or PMing her or having any contact with her to find out what was this all about or anything like that. So here I'm talking about leadership again, and here we have these three male adults. They're all over 50, all of them. Two of them, I think, are pushing 60, and my father, he's in his 70s by now. Men that owned their own business, they had employees, so that's sort of a leadership position there of, hiring personnel and running their business and things like that. They have full families. Each one of these guys had at least 2 kids each, at least, and they're all adults, just about. And one post from my sister-in-law of a movie that came out that was, a drama about Jehovah Witnesses, and she gave her true felt opinions about it, and it was, an opinion about the movie and how accurate it seems to be, sent these 3 guys running for the hills. They literally ran instead of, acting like, in my opinion, should have been acting like true men and not only just men and role models and that male figure within their family, and calling her up or emailing them or having some sort of contact to say, hey, give me a call, let's talk about this, what's going on. Nothing of that sort has ever happened. If it was me personally and with my kids, and they wrote something on social media that was counter to what I believe in or anything like that, that is the last thing I would do. My first act would be to get on that phone and call that particular child of mine and sort of have a sit down, preferably face to face over, coffee or anything like that, and just have a heart to heart. That's the emphasis, is just having a heart to heart, conversation about the issues right then and there to kind of hash out what's going on, and if they need help or just want someone to talk to, or just, clear up some things, that lines of communications just needs to be open for that to be, rectified or established or something to that effect. But no, it was instant shunning. And mind you, it wasn't even stated or declared by the Watchtower organization or the congregation or anything, where they go up to the podium and say, so-and-so, daughter of so-and-so is now disfellowship because of apostasy, leanings or whatnot. It wasn't that at all. She faded completely. She did not belong to any congregation, but outside of that sort of judicial construct of, being disfellowship, these three men, and I regret to really even refer them as men at this point. I am so disgusted. And this is for a while. I've been really, disgusted about the whole deal, that these three men has decided, as a reaction to shun her outright, with no warning or anything or anything declared or anything of that sort. It was self-imposed shunning, not sanctioned by the Watchtower organization, other than, unwritten rule, subliminal, judicial judgment against her, just for voicing an opinion. And that's all it was. It was just an opinion. It was not disrespectful whatsoever, in my opinion. And to boot, when I went over to deliver some food to the in-laws, because in a few videos back, I did mention that this particular, my in-laws, they're going through a really severe financial bind, because they did not plan for retirement. So whatever extra food that I have or have left over or anything, I do run it to them, to give it to them, all my extras and stuff like that, or maybe a couple of bucks here and there, not much. This one time I did deliver like a box of food to their location, and they kind of, I wouldn't say cornered me, but my father-in-law had the gall to ask me if I have any contact with my sister-in-law. Like, wait a minute, you had a Facebook account contact with her, and you're asking me if I ever heard anything about her recently or anything, or do I have any contact with her? He has all the contact with her if he wanted to. Not anymore, because my sister-in-law has since then disabled or shut down her Facebook account to avoid all this drama that just, sprang up from this thing. So now, after a couple of months or so, or more than that, you are asking me if I have any contact with her, or do I know what she's up to, or anything that's going on. I mean, this is how clueless that this person is, my father-in-law. He thinks I'm stupid enough to tell him anything about her, any insider information, which I don't, other than, they're doing well. She's going to college full time, and I give her news about the kids and keep her memory alive with my kids, because they truly do love my sister-in-law. I mean, she's a really cool person, and my kids sense that. But anyway, he has the gall to ask me if I know where she's at, or do I have any contact with her. Listen, you had all the contact with her, and you could still have that contact, but no, sort of shun her right then and there to save face with your Jehovah Witness buddies or whatever, so they won't, have any reproof against him. It's all an image thing. My uncle, same deal. Or my uncle-in-law, the same deal. I guess if he didn't act fast enough or whatever, he might get in trouble for having an association with his niece, both the other uncles. So this is the state of affairs of a fully indoctrinated Jehovah Witness male. I don't know about the women because, I don't really hang around them much except for my wife. These three males, and actually two of them or one of them I actually, was impressed with or I do like because I think he's a pretty cool person and everything. But with this stunt that just happened, it's gone. I mean, I lost respect for all of them because this is not how males or men should act in a situation that I just told you about. I mean, you can't step up to the plate and take the lead. That's all I'm saying. If it was me, I would think that this, the person, my sister-in-law is in trouble. If I was a Jehovah Witness, seems like she's in spiritual trouble, this and that and the other. And I would call back and try to help out and see what's going on, find out what the story is instead of heading for the hills for anything that goes boo in the night. It sounds like I'm generalizing all Jehovah Witness men as, scared of their own shadows if they don't have anybody to follow. But it sure seems like it. I mean, here's three examples of, like I said, middle-aged men, successful businesses or failed or whatever. They had their own businesses, so they had somewhat of a leadership position in a way. Raising up adult children, grandkids to a few, and they run like children when something goes bump in the night, or have any sort of opposition to their faith or an opinion contrary to their faith, because that's how the tone was. It was just a contrary to their faith. It wasn't an all out attack or anything of that sort. So there's a story. Three emasculated men, an example of three emasculated men from personal observations of Jehovah Witness men around me.